008 Krista. Steve-O missing the tree down there. Krista goes 4.76, 144. Steve Hendricks goes 4.77, 144. And, there was a pattern developing there. Krista 008 is Brian Schubert, the front motor dragster. And Dave Klembowski, I Make Horsepower, in from the San Fernando Valley. Be over there in that three-way Chevrolet lane at Brian Michelob Ultra Lane. Brian will do good on this run because Dad Dale's at the back of the staging lanes. Dave, a little bit of smoke in that three-way Chevrolet lane, 606, 141. Brian, 616, 108, coasting down their top end. Brian was 005, that front motor dragster. Robert Butler, Tim O'More. Ooh, this is a pretty good little matchup. Robert, the dragster, coming back. Michelob Ultra Lane, and Tim O'More, one of them prime-time players out of Tucson, Arizona, that three-way Chevrolet lane. My prediction, you all know that means nothing, will be a 00 in this pair. There's going to be 00. I have that feeling. So Tim left, Robert right. I'm telling you, there's a 00 in this pair. It's 00 in the making. Oh, look at that, a pair of them. How about Robert Butler, 001, Tim O'More, 007. Robert goes 4.73, 145, started that 001. Tim O'More goes 4.937, 139, started that baby 007. I love it when I predict things right. It'll never happen again the rest of the weekend. Is Mike Collins up in Gilroy, the garlic capital of the world, right side Michelob Ultra Lane, and King Richard McFarland for the Brenz Brothers race cars out there in Yucca Valley. Bunch of guys who retired from that water district out there. And the coach, Pontiac powered dragster. .001 King Richard, 013 Red Mike Collins. Mike Collins, 474, 145. King Richard, 577, 116. Kaylee McGibbon, back up again here, Miss Kaylee, that White Lane Automotive Team car far side. And Austin Schoenfeld, in from Magna, Utah, the very cool front motored dragster, Austin Michelob Ultra Lane. Wow. Austin 50 on the tree, missed it. Kaylee goes 28 red. Austin's 483, 140. Kaylee 506, 135. And that was weird. Kaylee was red by a bunch, 28, and Austin was tardy at 50. But hey, it's time trials. Do it now. James Warden, Trent Flores. Trent, the Victory Express dragster for that Flores Weaver family, the Victory Express. And James Warden, Warden Motorsports team car far side. So the M&M Fuels team car for Trent Flores. Saw Brother John earlier. Red light starts. Wow, Trent had a problem there. James Ward, 005 red, 458, 150. Trent, big time red, 112, 579, 8, 130. Jason Pad, Brian Kelly. Brian will be far side and another one of the Ward mobiles. And Jason Pad in from Alberta, Canada, the Automax dragster. A couple of, this will surprise you, BBCs. Jason 003 red, Brian Kelly 014 green. Jason goes 452 153. Brian Kelly is 4552 151. Jason 003 red. Mr. White, that much is Joey Trotsky and Tom Baer. Professor Tom picked up that $25,000 paycheck for the good folks at Hughes Performance in the 25K shootout yesterday. Driving Shaves Thompson, Silver State Refrigeration dragster. Of course, Silver State Refrigeration, the great sponsor of this West Coast Bracket Classic here for most of Dragster. But Joey Trotsky in from Ventura. Taking their time. Tom, Joey. Oh, 11, Tom Baer. Joey missing the tree there. Tom Baer, 498, 138. Joey Trotsky, 521, 143. Attention to the pits, attention to the pits. Anybody who has not got their one-time shot needs you to the lanes now. So clean up. Anybody who did not get their one-time shot needs you to the lanes now. Jason Rosenbaum for the Towns End Stillhouse and Bailey Neighbor, part of that Neighbor Racing with crew chief extraordinaire Chad Neighbor out there. Bailey be over there in that three-way Chevrolet lane. So anybody who only got one run needs you to the lanes now for your cleanup run. Anybody who did not get their one-time shot this morning needs you to the lanes now for your cleanup run. So Bailey and Jason. Jason's wife Renee down there. The entire Neighbor clan over there, including Chad, Robert, and the whole bunch. Oh, 17, that Jason Rosenbaum down there, top end Bailey's 459, 149. Jason's 4690, 146. Jason started off 017. Bailey missed a little bit at 057. It's Tyler Marp and Elliot Franco. Elliot far side. And Tyler coming back for Jordan Motorsports and Pete's Diesel Repair out of Sandy, Utah for Tyler. So once again, if you have not got your one and only time shot this morning, need you in the lanes now. Anybody who did not get a run, clean up in the lanes now. So Elliot and Tyler in this pair. That's two. By the way, clean up in lane 7 and 8. If you did not get a run, lane 7 and 8. Here we go. 032 right. Oh, double 06 red. Elliott. Tyler goes 468, 145. Elliot Franco, 502, 134. Mark Mayashiro, Team Tuna Tank for Torco Oils, Michelob Ultralane, and Dylan Hegwood, former junior dragster player for Highline Auto Care, and Dad Matt. How does his dad must be on a weekend furlough. Or Pete Mariello drove him up or something like that. I'm not sure. .039 Mark, .018 Red Dylan. Mark Mayashiro, 494, 138. Dylan Hegwood, 538, 138. Once again, cleanup. If you did not get your one and only time shot, need you to lane 7 and 8 is Tyler Smith. The Mountain View Performance Miller Race Cars dragster, mom, dad, and sister Paige, and all of Rancho Cucamonga. Attention to the pits, attention to the pits. Pro ET, double entries, lanes 1 and 2, round 1. Pro ET, double entries, round 1, lanes 1 and 2. Single entries, lanes 3 and 4. Pro ET, single entries, lanes 3 and 4. 014 Tyler, 009 left lane, three-way Chevrolet lane. Tyler's 453, 142. Far side, 458, 151. 014 left second. Thanks for coming. It's Gabe Torres. Cooper Chun. Cooper B. Far side. Dave, Barcelona's Truck Town. Want to go buy a new truck? Go see Dave. And Gabe Torres. Dad Turbin is crew chief today. Gabe Torres is in. 006 Red Gabe. 017 Green Cooper. Gabe Torres 457 150. Cooper 510 138 is Dylan Howe. Dave Mazier. Dylan, of course, said earlier, runner-up in the 25K shootout to Tom Bayer. He'd like to go a little bit better today. And Dave Mazier, the Mazier Enterprises house car. The three-way Chevrolet lane. Once again, cleanup. If you did not get your one and only time shot, need you in lanes 7 and 8, please. And Pro ET, round 1. Double entries, lanes 1 and 2. Single entries, lanes 3 and 4. Now. That'd be right now. So here we go. Davey left, Dylan right. 023 Dylan, 014 Davey. Top end, Dylan 449, 154. Davey Mazier 4708, 145. Val Torres Jr., race kid. Oh, Junior was watching his kid racing the shootout. Now gets in one of the house cars for that Tiffany Torres Real Estate down there in Chino. And Race Kid, the assassin for Kid Performance on Kid Performance Friday here at the Silver State Refrigeration West Coast Classic. Race lights at second light. Val Torres Senior lights at second. Oh, this is junior. I'm sorry. I apologize. 002 Race Kid. 023 Val Torres. 465, 147 Race Kid. 469, 148 Val Torres Jr. Austin Downey. Of course, Austin Farside, part of that great bunch of Downies that race out of Arizona, the Busted Loose race team, and the Nova. Nova starts first shot at the tree is 013. Austin's 038. Austin's 465, 146. Nova 607, 113. KJ Dessa, three-way Chevrolet lane, and Daryl Wirtz, Michelob Ultra lane. Pro ET, round one, double entries, lanes 1 and 2, single entries, lanes 3 and 4. Pro ET, leads you to the lanes. So Daryl, the powder coated dude out of Meridian, Utah, and KJ in from North Las Vegas. Home of Ted Weens. I'd move. .004 Daryl Wirtz, 029 red KJ. Daryl Wirtz 453, 152. KJ 480, 140 is Marco Paravallaris, the primetime player out of NorCal. Marco's going to show off and go 008. Uh-huh. Watch this. It'll be 008. I know it will be. Okay, don't make me look bad, Marcos. You do that all the time. 014. I just missed it by that much. Kind of like a lottery ticket. 460, 152, Marco Paravallaris. Gage Cameron, the Valley Painting dragster right here in Bakersfield, Michelob Ultra Lane. And in from New Mexico, Mark Barnhart. .002 red Gage, 020 green Mark Barnhart, Mark 465, 456, 150. I just got him backwards. 499, 138 Gage Cameron. Ryan Mangus, Michelob Ultra Lane, and Garrett Agnew, the junior comp dragster for Garrett, the three-way Chevrolet lane out of Oak Hills. .31 on the tree is Mangus, who runs down through there, 473, 145. Garrett 73 on the tree and 6924, 96 miles an hour. Neil Pressimone in from Las Vegas for Quarter Pro Shifters, three-way Chevrolet lane, and Mark Lalonde. My favorite town of Cottonwood, Arizona, and a Tom Yancer built dragster. Mark will be in the Michelob Ultra lane. Neil, far side, one of the big-time players to strip the Las Vegas Motor Speedway and showing up here to steal some cash. .012 right side, .018 left side. Down there, top end, Neil is 479, 143, .018. Marcos, .012, 488, 4, 138 is Steve Williams. And Kyle Raposo, the Foggett dragster, far side for Steve Williams, and he's in from Beaumont. Kyle, in from Hawaii. Well, he lives in Bakersfield now, but he started out in Hawaii, just maybe not this weekend. So Kyle will be in the Michelob Ultra lane. Stevie Williams, the three-way Chevrolet lane. .009 red, Stevie Williams. .030 green, Kyle Raposo. Steve Williams, 442, 158. Kyle, 468, 146. Chad Axford, Kevin Shearer. The Chadmobile in from Kentucky now. Be in that three-way Chevrolet lane. And Kevin Shearer, Washington. Attention to the pits, attention to the pits. Final call. Pro ET double entries, lanes 1 and 2 for round 1. Pro ET single entries, lanes 3 and 4, round number 1. .006, Chad Axford. .032, Kevin Shearer. Kevin, 455, 151, .032. Chad, 006, 464, 8, 148. Is Mark Kidd, the boss man, races assistant manager at Kidd Performance. They're in Idaho, and the great sponsor of today's race, Kidd Performance Friday, will be in the three-way Chevrolet lane. And Kelly Shearer, another one of the D6 cars in from Washington, Michelob Ultra lane. .001, Kelly Shearer. .014, Mark Kidd. Mark Kidd, 465, 148. Kelly Shearer, 4756, 144. Tommy Drake Jr., another Idaho team car, Michelob Ultra lane. And Tristan Craig for Southern Nevada Motorsports in that three-way Chevrolet lane. Tommy not backing up there. So a single run for Tristan Craig. Tommy Drake Jr. going to get pushed back, and that's not a way to start off your Kidd Performance Friday. Oh, fired up, and here we go. Maybe he's going to run. Well, I lied. It wasn't my fault. I got false information. Don't blame it on me. Tommy Drake got her going. He's going to be a pair. That's good news. Hate to see that happen on your final and only time shot on Kid Performance Friday at the Silver State Refrigeration West Coast Classic. Tommy waiting on Tristan. There we go. Tristan gets that second light lit. 006 red, Tristan Craig. 078 green, Tommy Drake Jr. 489, 140 Tommy. 545, 124 Tristan Craig. Robert Neighbor. The Pool Tile Cleaning Service Team car far side. And Kevin Johnson, Michelob Ultra Lane. Robert lights that second light finally, and here we go. 008 red, Kevin Johnson. 068 green, Robert Neighbor. 452, 153, Kevin Johnson. 4659, 149, Robert Neighbors. Is Tim Wirtz in from Idaho for Rhino Rush Energy Drinks, the Corvette, the El Camino, that three-way Chevrolet lane. Attention to the pits, attention to the pits. I have a racer in need. I need spark plug index washers. Bring in the second level of the timing tower, and I'll get them to Jody George. I'll make him come up here and get them. So Dan McClellan in the El Camino goes red. Tim Wirtz is 014 green. Tim Wirtz, 515, 134. Dan McClellan, the Elkie, 769, 86 miles an hour. And I believe that does it for time shots, if I'm not mistaken. So I have a racer in need. Jody George is in need of spark plug index washers. Go down to Ace Hardware and get a couple of, kind of bend them a little bit, I think. So Serious Biz, if you have any spark plugs index washers, bring them up to the tower here, and I will get them to Jody George. By the way, Racers, a quick reminder. Oh, Jody George, second level of the timing tower, please. Kevin Raposo, thank you very much. Oh, yeah, you got 50 of them. And, hey, Jody, I got like 50 spark plug index washers. If you need more, Kevin's got more. But Kevin Raposo, thank you very much. Okay, quick reminder. And this is for half of you in round number one. You're going to lose. So buybacks Pro ET today is $80. Super Pro today is $100. And that goes to half of you. And if you have trouble figuring that out, I hate to tell you, but two are going to go down and one come back. So first round buybacks today in Pro is $80. Today in Super Pro is $100. After the first round of Super Pro, we will do the buyback round and just bring the cash to the back of the lanes. Yeah, with your car when you get called. Who's going to be handling it back there? We will find somebody trustworthy, and it certainly won't be me or Jay. I don't carry that much. Chris Forsythe says it won't be me or Jay because he knows we can't walk that far to the back of the lanes. Wow, I feel the love. Round number one of Pro ET, Zach Egling, the family El Camino, and Colin Poist. In from that great town of Yucca Valley in CP Auto Works, just off Highway 62. I know right where it is, seriously. 677 Colin left side. 655 Zach, right side, Michelob Ultra. One's going to the buyback round, one's coming back for round number two. It's the way it works. Colin pre-staged. Look at Rich handling the camera over there. His partner, Rich Llewellyn. They're double-entered. Rich and Colin share driving chores. Zach bumps it in. Here we go. The first win light on Kid Performance Friday. They are clean. They are green. They are side by side down there. Zach Egling, 6:59 on that 6:55 dial-in. He was 0-3-3. Colin missed the tree, goes out by 2, and had one of those reaction times that starts with a 1. Unfortunately, it's Darren Taylor, Idaho, 76 Nova. Dennis Paz, one of them prime time players, the 65 El Camino. Dennis at 677 getting the head start. Darren Taylor, 609 in the Avon out of Idaho. Round one, Pro ET on Kid Performance Friday, the Silver State Refrigeration West Coast Classic. Red light starts, goes to Darren Taylor. He was the better of the two red lights, 6078 on that 609 dial-in, and the automatic W's. Unfortunately, his red light was better than Dennis Paul. Pedro Valdez, far side. The Firebird 702 getting the head start over Michael Cortez. The Mopar 650 Michael Cortez. To dance in round number two. Kid Performance Friday at the Silver State Refrigeration West Coast Classic. Pedro's in. That's a pretty good time, big time round one. Red light start, Pedro Valdez, 005 RED. Michael Cortez on that 650 dial-in goes 6552 103 037. Green is Alan Brown and Greg Dreer. Wow. Greg Dreer driving Bruno Casello's Camaro at 642, getting the head start over Alan Brown, the Brown and Brown brothers. Ford Coupe in from Vista, your next door neighbor, Jay, at 581, Alan Brown. Of course, Greg, former Summit ET Racing Series national champion. Got behind the wheel of a Chevrolet. Can you believe that? Ford guy driving a Chevrolet. Green light starts. Greg Dreer out there. Here comes that coupe. Alan Brown down there, top end. That wind light says Greg Dreer. Greg Dreer, 60 on the tree. Dead on 2 for the win. Allen was better on the tree at 39 and a 2 over 583.9. That was 6 thou. Margin of victory. Greg Dreer at the finish line. Chris Johnson, Mark Beeman, couple of Mopars. The B-Mobile right side, Mark at 668, get the head start. The Western Edge Auto Center, Duster for Chris Johnson, 590. Chris Johnson, three-way Chevrolet lane. Green light starts again. The Beebmobile out front. Here comes Chris Johnson starting to hustle down there top end. It's Mark Beeben. 029, 669, 1 on that 68 dial for the win. Chris Johnson missed a tree at 75 and a 2 over 592. 2 could not get there. Is Monty Beagle, Mike Agnew. The Extreme Powder Coating 69 Chevelle for LAT Racing Oils. 607 Mike Agnew in the Chevelle. Monty Beagle in from Alberta, Canada. He came a long way. The 33 Ford Coupe at 582 Monty Beagle. Agnew skies and front wheels 013 RED. Monty Beagle 18 on the tree. Monty Beagle 18 on the tree, dead 9 in the automatic W. Chase Trimp, Jeff Taylor. Jeff Taylor in from Oregon, the Dakota pickup truck 576. Chasing Chase Trimp, the Opel 649 for the Chase Mobile. Got green ones here. That Dakota pickup truck got enough to get him down there. How about Jeff Taylor? 008, 3 over 7, 579, 2 on that 76 dial for the win. Chase was 24 and then 654, 3 on that 49 dial and could not get there. Mustang, Tana Taylor. Camaro, Tim O'More. Tim Farside, 594. Chasing Tana Taylor's Mustang in for Rigby, Idaho at 641. Head start that Mustang. Big time player out of Arizona chasing that big time player out of Idaho. Oh, Tana Taylor, 001 red. Tim O'More down there top end of that Camaro. 593.7 on that 94 dial in automatic W. Tim O'More was 004 green. Tanner was 001 red. Clint McKay, DJ Hallmark. Wow. DJ. Duschel Racing, Noble Wagon, 637 getting the head start over Clint McKay. The 66 Chevelle, 609 Clint McKay. Red light start Clint. DJ, 025 green in the Noble Wagon, 637 the dial, 6426. 107 for DJ Homart. It's the next pair rolling on up. Attention to the pits, attention to the pits. Pro ET round 1, need you in the lanes. Pro ET round 1, if you're not in the lanes, you are late, is Amber Rutherford. 598 Amber in the Mustang. And Randy Stanley for Gary's Automotive and Fathom Realty. 688 Randy Stanley. Pro ET double entries, lanes 1 and 2. Single entries, lanes 3 and 4. Pro ET needs you in the lanes. Pro ET needs you in the lanes. So Randy get the head start, 688 over Amber's Mustang for that great Rebel Fit Nutrition. And by the way, that Mustang's Ford powered. A Mustang with a Ford in it. Most of them LS motors. That's how they come from the factory. Ooh. Red light start, Randy Stanley, 008 RED. Amber's 005, dead on 9 for a 14,000 pack. Wow. Randy Snyder, Alan Valvo. The Golden State Management, 72 Chevelle, 618 the dial for Alan, three-way Chevrolet lane. Randy Snyder, the very cool Vega. I love this Vega. 660 Randy Snyder. Green light starts. And big block Chevelle, Hustler, and after that, small block Vega, it's Randy Snyder. Out by 3, 657.9, 058 for the win on that 60 dial. Allen out by 5, 047, and they go 613.5 on that 618 dial. Scott Taylor, Cooper Dreher. The Cooper Mobile, three-way Chevrolet lane. 751, getting the head start over Scott Taylor's Taylor Automotive, 65 Chevelle. The Scott Mobile at 663 Michelob Ultra Lane. Green light starts. Cooper out there. Here comes Scott Taylor running after him. At that finish line down there, it's going to be Scott Taylor. 6663 006 for the win on that 663 dial-in. Cooper, 4 over 755, 1:019. Scott Taylor going to round number 2. How about this? Boy, you guys didn't line up very well in the lanes. Richard Leo, the Ranchero, 715. Chasing, seeing the semifinals, C.W. Hofer at 733. C-Dub and the Bird, two of the big-time players in Pro ET, pair up in round number 1. Green light starts again. Little bitty head start going to C-Dub and the Bird. Watch these boys at the finish line looking at each other. C.W. Hofer, 738.1 on that 733 dial-in, 029. Richard was 68 and 1 over 716.6 on that 715 dial-in. 4 thousandths of a second at the finish line to C.W. Hofer. Tighten that baby up as Logan Pagano and Brian Cam. Oh, man, 2 NorCal guys. Brian Cam, the Camaro, 798. Logan Pagano, the Corvette, at 791. Green light starts. Brian in the Camaro. Logan in that Corvette. Brian wop down there looking over his shoulder. Where's my bud? Wow. Brian Cam goes 007, gets there first by a bunch, breaks out by 3. Logan, you saw him hammer the brakes, said, Brian, I'm not going to catch you. You can have that stripe. It makes it work at 793.8 on that 791 dial. And Logan was 71 on the tree, but makes it work at the finish line is Stan Deming. The Kid Performance Nova, 623 far side. Sasha Hofer, 732. Miss Sasha, the Silver Platter Racing Firebird. Red light starts. Stan Deming by 9 stinking thousandths of a second. Sasha, 733.1 on that 32 dial. Sasha was 005 green. Stan Deming, 009 R.E. Diaz. Jeff Kreider. Ron Nichols. Wow, a couple of guys have been doing this for a very long time. The Wonder Wagon. 745, Jeff Kreider. Ron Nichols, the Hammer. Nobody better at the finish line than Ron Hammers. 709 for the Hammer. So Ron Nickel in the Olds, Jeff Kreider in the Wonder Wagon. Both of them taking their sweet time, lighting that second light. Head start to Jeff Kreider, the Wonder Wagon. Ron Nickel gets in. Green light starts. Jeff, Ron. Oh, this is going to be fun to watch down there at that finish line. The Hammer left, Jeff right. The Hammer. 065, 711, 1 on that 709 dial-in for the win. Jeff was 92 on the tree, got down there by 1/10,000ths of a second, broke out by 6,000ths of a second. Is Jonathan Knoll and Jay Griner. Jay Griner, that's the Pontiac Ventura 679, chasing the Stick Shift Challenger. Jonathan Knoll, 695 for Sierra Auto and Tire in Mariposa. Jay Griner, tap that brake pedal, drop that nose, 684 on that 679 dial-in for the win. He was 0-44. Jonathan 10 off at 7:05 and bows out round number one as Jay Kasem going to step in and continue on with round number one on Kid Performance Friday in Pro ET.
Well, thank you, Mike. I do appreciate it. Wow, a lot of good action going on already. I was kind of just sitting there watching it because this is a load of fun. Thank you very much to everybody from Silver State Refrigeration, West Coast Classic. Next pair coming your way. Rich Stansfield out of Surprise, Arizona. Whoa, baby. Wheels up launch out of that bug. But unfortunately, wheels up too quick, goes red. Kelly Fenley runs it out the other end. Started that out with a beautiful 013 light. Runs through the other end, 658 at 102 miles an hour. Bug kind of lifts off, but still goes 749. Volkswagen, I mean, skied it. Scraping the stinger out the back. Abigail Rogers. It's a itty-bitty, little-bitty, hard to see. And I'll tell you what, all weekend long, well, so far it's Friday, but all weekend long just nailing the tree. 657 the dial-in for the itty-bitty dragster over there in the three-way Chevrolet lane. The Michelob Ultra, Tony Marconi. Excellent green lights on both sides of the track. Gets to the finish line, and the wind light says Tony Marconi. Gets out there. Abigail goes 008 on the tree. Tony actually 026, almost 200ths of a second difference in the lights. But unfortunately, little dragster runs a 662 out the back door, 591 on an 88. And Tony Marconi takes an 8 thou stripe at the other end because it's a little car, so you take a little stripe, I guess. Rob Strong driving a 68 Firebird. He's alongside Garrett Agnew. Garrett Agnew driving a Pro Dragster. 667, the dial in for the dragster. And again, it's kind of a little small dragster, a little hard to see. I think that's probably one reason why he wants to play the game in the right lane. Rob Strong in that 68 Firebird dialed in a 682. So going to leave first, but just by a little bit. 682 against a 667 dial in for the dragster. Everybody taking their time staging it up. Garrett decides to put the light on first as everybody's kind of sitting there looking at each other. Okay, everybody's staged. Tree's on its way down. Rob Strong leaves. Dragster leaves behind him. Rob out in front. Here comes the dragster. Nope, dragster doesn't get there. 682 on a 682 for Rob Strong. He takes the win. He starts that out with an 047 light. Goes 682 at 99 miles an hour. Garrett Agnew, one, unfortunately, was the beginning number for that. I won't bother with the rest. 672 at 108 miles an hour for Garrett. And he'll be finding his way back to the buybacks. Remember, they will be in the lanes and in cash. Cash. Here's Cal Gordon, the 85 Mustang, alongside his first-generation Camaro. Tim, I'm serious. People are just scooping these cars right back up off the drag strip, and they're trying to make street cars out of them again. Camaro out in front. Here comes Cal Gordon. When it gets down to the finish line, wind light says Tim Arnswald. Tim 732 on a 730. Both cars run about the same off their dial-in, but the better of the two green lights goes to Tim Arnswald. His 07 beats Cal's light off the line. 91 miles an hour for Tim. Obviously, he got a chance to touch the brakes. Cal Gordon goes 632 at 109 miles an hour in the three-way Chevrolet. Jim Hulse. Jim 71 Datsun. There doesn't seem to be anybody in the other lane. So guess what? Oh, man, this is fun. First round, and I get a freebie. 737 is the number he's looking for. Tree comes down. He decides, 3 thou off perfect. Ought to be close enough. Runs through the other end, runs a 36 with a 3 on a 37. I'd say he's pretty well dialed. The Porterville racer is going to come back around for round 2 and be real happy with his round 1. Okay, here we go. Here's Rick Fenley driving that 67 Bel Air. I've got that car real close to the coolest car of the weekend. Somebody proved me wrong. 649, that's another reason why that car is real cool, because it's real fast. Real big, real fast, real old. All those things combined make real cool. Jeremy Everest driving the 84 Mustang. Yeah, I'll scare you. 84 Mustang turns 40 this year. $724 the dial in for Jeremy in the Mustang. So he's going to get about 3/4 of a second head start. Big Bel Air out in front. Big difference in the lights. Rick Fenley goes down the track, runs 6:55 on a 6:49 at 93 miles an hour, good for the win. Jeremy runs a 7:25 on a 7:24. As you can see, he was much closer to his dial-in, but unfortunately not much closer on the tree. And Rick Fenley moves on to round 2. Cliff Hall, you know, if that monster mile an hour Ford Probe wasn't here, I was thinking Cliff Hall might be the coolest Ford out here. But the 70 Maverick is still definitely a vote getter. Cliff Hall dials that thing in at 6:02. That baby runs. John Victorino tried to run away from it and puts up a red light. Cliff Hall goes automatic win as he gets the green light with an 039, then runs a 5:99.99 on a 6:02 at 114 miles an hour. John runs his pass the rest of the way out. You might as well get all the information. 8:08 at 77. Edna Quent driving the 05 Cavalier. Hey, I wonder if it's got the 2.2 big block in it. 530, well, 535 dial. He's got to have it. Oh, Chris puts up a red light on his way down the track. That's a 650 on a 649 for Chris. That's not going to do because that red light kind of finishes that off. 541 on a 535. I don't know if Ed was having issues or just kind of lifted a little bit. But he runs 6 off the number and saved by the fact his opponent went red. Kevin McClellan, 64 El Camino. Okay. Michael Dye driving the 83 Capri. Many El Caminos out here this weekend. 771 the dial-in for Kevin in the El Camino. He leaves the line first. Michael Dye leaves the line red, but not by much, just 0.03 of a second red. Kevin 058 light runs down the other end. He can run it out if he wants. 768 on a 771 at 86 miles an hour. 680 on a 676 for Michael Dye at 95. No help after the red light. Ryan Mangus. Ryan, 67 Camaro. Huh. Rick Barthouse out of Yucaipa. Driving definitely, you know what, this is working its way into cool Fords. 751 the dial in for the 56 two-door sedan Ford. Off he goes. Ryan throws the wheels up in the air and says, I'm coming to get that Ford. Wind light says different. Rick Barnhouse gets the win. He starts that off with an 05 light and runs 758 on a 751 at only 90 miles an hour as Ryan leaves the line a little bit late and goes 620 on a 617 at 102. Shutting them down for a split second here. We're going to check a couple things. Gives us an opportunity to thank Kid Performance for presenting us to Friday. It's the Friday Kid Performance. Kid Performance and Dyno. They're somewhere way up there. But I got news for you. I've seen a lot of cars out here sporting Kid Performance engines. As a Performance and Dyno shop, it's a one-stop shop. They can make anything you got go fast. Okay, I want to remind everybody there is a door car clash tomorrow night. 16 Pro, 16 Super Pro. Somebody walks out of there with $10,000 in the door car clash. As I heard earlier, and I do not know for sure whether or not any of the spots are still available. Don't forget, if they are, and you got a door car, swing on over to the trailer and tell them you want to be there. All right, back to racing. Everything's ready to go here. This is Jeff Dye driving that 64 Nova. Good-looking little machine right there alongside Jeff LaSalle. If you like big Mopars, you're going to love Jeff LaSalle's car. 1967 Dodge RT. Excellent green lights both sides of the track. Jeff LaSalle goes down through there at a 652 on a 51, but that won't do because Jeff Dye started that out 006. 672 on a 671 at 101 miles an hour. Jeff Dye, start to finish, takes that round. Jeff LaSalle gave it all he had, a nice 041 light, but runs that 52 on a 51 after giving up 3 and change on the tree. Wasn't going to get there. Win light. Jeff Dye. Paige Smith driving an absolutely gorgeous 67 Chevelle alongside Joshua DeSouza driving the Phantom, which I don't even see it. That's how much of a Phantom it is. Another one of the junior comp style dragsters. I guess we have to call them style. Everybody's green. Here comes that great big door car over that little bitty dragster at the other end. It's the door car. 058 for Paige Smith, and then runs a 624 on a 613. The little dragster runs off. Joshua giving it all he had with an 08 off the tree, and then goes 703 on a 690 dial. Well, if you like blue, we've got some seriously good-looking blue cars out there. The 72 Duster, Chris Johnson driving that machine. 528 cubic inches of Mopar hiding under that hood. 592 the Dylan. 598 for the 63 Chevy. It's no slouch. Green lights a pair as they get to the finish line. 6 flat on a 598 gets the job done. 96 on a 92. Chris running 4 off the number. He actually had a slightly better light by a 100th of a second, his 04 to Stan's 05. But Stan closer to his numbers. He goes over by 2, takes the win. Coming all the way down from Forest Grove, Oregon. That would be a place that I have no idea where it is. The 99 Dakota. Did you know that Mike has pinpointed that to Oregon? And 577 dial for that really good-looking pickup truck. Mike Urquhart out of Lake Forest driving the 66 Malibu that has 67 taillights in it. Wheels up launch for the Malibu, and maybe just a tad too quick as he hangs him red. Jeff Taylor, a beautiful 008 off the line, runs it out as he's allowed to, and he goes a 574 with a 6 on a 577, but takes the win based on the fact that Michael goes under by 0.04 of a second on the tree, and that's all you needed. 668 on a 656 as he obviously just kind of lifted and got a little, I don't really want to do that again. Here's Pedro Valadez. Pedro driving the it actually is the latest model Firebird. The F-body, 4th generation, a 2001 with the Ram Air hood. Definitely a cool machine. Leslie Emery alongside, 7 flat, both sides of the. So then it comes down to reaction time. And the wind light says Pedro Valdez with a almost near perfect 007 reaction takes the win with a 704 at 94 miles an hour. Leslie goes under slightly. Started that out with an 07. Breaks out. Pedro near perfect off the tree was going to be very hard to beat. Sasha Hofer, the 91 Firebird. Alongside the Jeep, Mike Bolton out of Placerville, because everybody's got a 50 Willys somewhere. In the circumstances of the double red lights, Sasha Hofer, the better of the 2 red lights, only missed the tree by 1,000th of a second. Mike goes 03 to the red, and that gives Sasha the win. Then she runs 7:29 on the 7:35, gathering as much information as she can get for the next round. Here's Shelby Williams. Shelby driving the 67 Camaro, dialed 622, alongside DJ Homard. DJ driving that really nice-looking straight 66 wagon. Everybody's staged up. Tree's on its way down. Wagon leaves. Camaro leaves. Whoa! I can't say anything else besides that till they get to the finish line. 2 near-perfect lights. Shelby's 006 is the worst of the 2 lights, but takes the win light. 622 with a 0 on a 622 with a 006 light. DJ goes triple zeros on the tree, but unfortunately goes under by 14 thou, giving the win light over to Shelby. Attention in the pits, attention in the pits. Super Pro Door Cars. If you're double entered, bring them to lanes 1 and 2. If you're not, bring them to lanes 3 and 4. Super Pro Door Cars. Super Pro Door Cars. Super Pro Door Cars. This is your call. Jeff Ball, giving it all. Unfortunately goes a little bit red and a little small dragster. Randy Stantry, 04 off the tree. Nice pass. Goes 690 on a 688. Takes the win. Jeff Ball is 715 on a 678. As I know the Ball family just got out here just a little while ago, and everybody's giving it a try here. Richard Llewellyn driving the 67 Chevy 2. The Powder Blues, Chevy 2. One of these days, it'd be cool if I could say it all at the same time. 669, the dial in for the Chevy 2. Ken Ray, 697, the dial. Here you are, 1,000th of a second separates the 2. The 016 loses to the 017 on the tree as Ken Ray takes the win, 699 on 697. 672 doesn't get the job done. And Ken Ray moves on. C.W. Hofer, 733 the dial, alongside Alan Brown. Alan Brown's from my town, Vista, California. The thriving metropolis of Vista, California. Actually, you know what? Over the last 10 years, Vista's actually turned into a cool place. A lot of stuff going on now. Plus, it's got a 34 Ford Coupe. So now we got just about everything. Alan Brown dialed in a 583. He's going to give about a second and a half head start over to CW. Tyler Myrup, you have a package in the tower. 009 off the tree. CW getting the job done. Alan Brown, a beautiful job off the tree as he goes 016, but unfortunately wasn't enough. And the Hofer clan moves on. Tanya Taylor, 647, the dial in on that Mustang. 609 for Darren Taylor. Did you know they're both from the same place in Idaho? I mean, normally we try to line you up by zip code, but this time I think we lined you up by your entire address. 609 for Darren Taylor. Tanya goes red. Darren moves on. 609 with a 4 on a 609 for Darren at 113 miles an hour. 659 on a 647 for Tanya, starting that out with a red light. Monty Beagle out of High River, Alberta. The 33 Ford. You know, I guess there's just like a bunch of old cool stuff hanging around up there because they bring some cool stuff with them. Scott Taylor, 663 the dial in for the Chevelle. So about 3/4 of a second head start goes to the Chevelle. Tree comes down, Chevelle leaves. Oh, baby, red light for Mr. Beagle. Red light, 019 puts it on the red side. Scott Taylor runs down there through with a 728 on a 663 dial. Not quite sure. You don't got to run it out to win. There's proof of it. Although Monty ran his out, he goes 881 with an 8 on an 82 dial. Logan Pagano. With an aught Corvette. 5.7 LS under the hood alongside Denny Valvo. Denny out of Prescott, Arizona. 72 Chevelle. 640 cubic inches of fun there. Denny Valvo takes the win. He starts that out 003 green. Logan started his out 007 red. And then Volvo's machine runs a 610 at 115 miles an hour. Street-driven Corvette, 792 at 88. Shelby getting the odd lot single here. Little Nova runs nice, 677 at 100 miles an hour. Had a 675 dial-in on the window. All right, going to take a couple seconds here. Double check the track, make sure everything's ready to go before we bring you into the next round. Man, I'll tell you what, we've already seen a lot of, I think we've seen a 6 thou package already in Pro. Man. So the Kid Performance Friday is absolutely, positively underway. And it's going to be one of those days, guys. Be ready to go. There's going to be lots of rounds of action today. Bunches. Okay, so like I said, good couple seconds here. We get ready to switch over. I want to remind everybody that I'm not sure if you know this, but if you go down to the dog pound and go to grab some food, watch out because there's a bunch of dogs running around down there. No, I was kidding. I went by there and there was a lady walking a bunch of dogs. None of them were taller than like 6 or 7 inches high, but there was a pack of them. So when you head to the dog pound to go get you a little something, don't forget not only, of course, the breakfast burritos. I guess they'd be a brunch burrito now, but a breakfast burrito, or if you want to grab a hot dog, a hamburger, whatever you like, folks are down there. No doubt about it. The coffee is very tasty too, Mike. There is a Mike English special, but I'm almost afraid to ask what it is. Mike swears it's good. Now we're going somewhere. Here we go. Look at this. Oh, man. My favorite Ford just pulling up right alongside Mr. McClellan. Daniel McClellan driving the 27 Ford with a gigantic big block Chevy alongside the Probe, which happens to have a gigantic Ford, like 600 plus inches. I mean, crazy. James Rutherford, that 96 Probe, 488 the dial-in. Now, McClellan's Roadster has a 632-inch Chevy in it and is now 589. He's going to get a full second head start. I am the math wizard. James Rutherford from Wembley, Alberta. Like I said, these guys come out of Canada. You know, they've got a long winter to make this stuff. Anyway, and so they come down here with some really wild stuff. And I got news for you. A 4-second door car? Yeah, we don't see a lot of those around here. And when we do, we say, yeah. The 27 Davis Roadster, 632 inches, dialed 589. We'll get a chance to go first. Tree's on its way down. Everybody's green, and I mean these are nice lights. Only 3 souths separate them on the tree. Wind light goes to James Rutherford. He runs 487 with a 5 on an 88, so under by 5 thousandths. 88 with a 1 on an 89. Daniel under by 9 thousandths. Daniel takes a 16 10,000 stripe. That man, this is unbelievable what that stripe had to be down at the other end. But Winlight goes up to James Rutherford. 87 with a 5 on an 88. There's the winner. 013 to 016. Yep, welcome to Super Pro. Dennis Paz, the 65 El Camino, alongside the drop-top Corvette. 663 the dial in for Sean in the Corvette. Dennis dialed in a 676. So the wink of an eye difference. Big wheel stand for Dennis Paz. Sean Ealing right behind him. I mean, there isn't much separating him on this end and not much separating him on that end. Dennis Paz a 776 on a 776 with an 02 light. 025 beats an 018 as Sean runs under as he goes under by 1 thou. Ouch. That hurts. 662 with a 9 on a 663. Sean giving it everything there as he goes 018 off the tree. So let's see, he took a 0147 stripe, and he'd have been okay if he'd have taken an 0141 stripe. So Dennis Paz moves on to the next round. Now, granted, nobody's been called yet for any buybacks, but when buybacks do happen, they happen in the lanes. Bring your car, bring your cash, and bring an attitude where I'm going to do better this time. Buybacks wait until you are called, but you will be after Super Pro Dragster runs, and then we're going to call you guys to lanes. And then, like I said, you don't need to come up early. That doesn't help anything. Come up when you're called. Have your money in your car, ready to go. Carl Hagen is a no-show, and And Winlight goes over to the El Camino. I was so busy talking about everything else. I'm sorry about that, but El Camino takes the Winlight 661 on a 661. That's not all bad. Just over by 0.004 of a second. 97 miles an hour, and we continue on. Andrew Olson. I dig these 70 Camaros. I like them. And I also like 67 Camaros. Andrew Olson's car ain't exactly a slug. 581 the dial in for that 70 Camaro. He says he's an EFI expert, and if you're running 581 in that car, I believe you are. Byron McCullough, 660 the dial in for that 67 Camaro in the ultra lane. Last call, Super Pro door cars. Last call, Super Pro door cars. This is your call to the lanes. Everybody leaves, everybody's green. Winlight says. Winlight goes over to Andrew Olson. Andrew runs a 80 with a 6 on an 81 in a double breakout situation and takes the win. Byron actually had a 6,000th of a second better light with the 012, but unfortunately breaks out by just a tinch more, and I mean just a tinch, as he runs a 58 with a 6 on a 60. Don't be fooled by the vinyl top. It's part of his craft. Pearson Deming, the 77 Nova, 385 inches of small block power with a formal roof. Emma Duschel, 580. That Corvette is fast. 63 Corvette, good running machine, 565 cubic inches of big block Chevy against the small block. Small block's going to get a little bit of a head start. Not as much as you think. That is a good running machine. That 77 Nova, sweet. Everybody leaves the line real nice, gets down the other end. Winlight comes up for Emma. She goes 010, 100th off a perfect light, then runs a 580 on a 580 dial, 580 with a 7 to be exact. 556 or 656 on a 655 dial in for Pearson. I don't think he was expecting to be losing with an 018 light, but better light comes up in the other lane, and he was fighting for his life down there at the other end. And Emma moves on to round 2. Dave Beckworth, you like fast little cars? Here you go, 540. Andre Fitzgerald, 652 the dial in, gets the head start and gets the win light as something goes wrong with David's machine as he runs a 621 on a 643. DeAndre did start out with a slightly better light with an 018, runs a 662 on a 652, looking out the back window and said, man, I don't know what happened to that little fast Nova, but I'm glad it's back there and not up here, and moves on. Jason Pad, 593 in the little Chevy Love truck. It's a Mickadoo. Alongside Larry Geezy. Larry driving that 95 Daytona, 450 plus cubic inches of big Mopar under the hood. That's fun. 572 is the dial in, so he's going to give a 2/10 of a second head start over to the Mickadoo. Wheels up launch for the pickup truck. Larry Geezy goes red. Pickup leaves the line with an 036, runs up 95 with a 1 on a 93. Runs straight down there. Larry doing a nice job as, of course, you go red, so what do? You run a 72 with a 0 on a 72. Yep, almost perfect. Yikes. Greg Dreher goes red. Come on, man. Mr. 007 goes 005 to the red side. Justin Short, driving the squad car, said, I'm going to make it tough on you anyways. He leaves the line 001 to the good side. Runs it out as he can, and he goes a 551 on a 554. Mr. Dreher, 2 cars in a row have gone red. 2 cars in a row have run dead on with a 0. How many times is this going to happen in one day? Greg runs it all the way out and runs the 0 dead on.
Every time.
Exactly. Brad Pierce, 58 Corvette. That thing's a mean machine, and that kid driving it, he knows how to get the job done. I know I'm calling him a kid just because, we're all older than he is. Well, at least we are in this booth. Jeff Jones, neat 72 Nova. Lots of sponsors on that machine. Calvert, Mickey Thompson, K&N. They got the group on there. Again, everybody tickling that light in a little. Man, I'm telling you, I like to play with auto start. Both cars almost exactly work the same way. They bump the light, and then they drop on the stop, and then they take off. A really nice 006 light is what fixes Brad Pierce's. He's 635 at 114 miles an hour. Jeff Jones, an 08 off the tree, and that was about all she wrote. Breaks out trying to catch him as he goes to 639 with an 8 on a 641 at 113 miles an hour. Next pair coming your way. Here's Dave Schoffer. Dave out of Auburn, the 66 Mustang, alongside the drop top of Tim Wirtz. Tim down from Nampa. Rhino Rush, the Vapor Loft, the 63 drop top Corvette. 540 cubic inches of Chevys. Got that thing motated to a 516. 673 the dial in for Dave in the little Mustang. So the Mustang's going to mosey. Off it goes. Wheels in the air. Carried the wheels almost at a 60-foot clocks. Lights almost identical, and the wind light comes up for the Mustang. 674 on a 673. And check out the stripe at 0014 stripe at the other end. Tim Wirtz, a 50 light, runs to the other end as hard as he can. He runs a 16 with a 5. I mean, he forced the issue as best he could. Gave up 7 thou on the tree and loses by 1 thou at the other end. Wow. This is some tight racing right here. Greg Vining, the 66 Chevy 2, dialed 581. And here comes Petey. Petey's coming out there under the tutelage of Mr. Manaka. Petey used performance sponsor on that machine. It's a 78 Porsche. I think it has like the triple overhead cam thing that they built back then. Who knows? Excellent lights both sides of the track. Petey takes the win. Pete's 008 beats Greg's 012 light. So 0.004 of a second on the tree, and then a 74 with a 0 on a 69 over by 5 as Greg is over by 8. And needless to say, that wasn't enough as Pete ends up taking a 300 stripe, which is a lot of stripe, but worked out real well for him. Lights only 4 thou apart. Little trouble down there, I'm guessing, at the other end. And Petey takes the win. Anthony Mazza, 571 the dial in. That's in the Roadster. The pickup truck, Jeff Boussard, 96 Sonoma, 588. So both these guys leave just about together. Gets down to the other end, and Anthony runs a 576 on a 571. A 590 with an 8 on a 588. As giving up 0.04 of a second on the tree was Jeff, and that moves Anthony into the next round. Double entries, 1 and 2 for dragsters. Super Pro dragsters, 1 and 2 double entries. Green entry dragsters, lanes 5 and 6. Green entry dragsters, lanes 5 and 6. Jonathan Fiello, the 71 Nova, dialed 570 alongside Mike Ealing. Mike's 65 El Camino. I am telling you, we got a crowd of El Caminos out here. 662 the dial in. Out he goes. Off goes Jonathan trying to track him down. It's going to be tough at the other end. Mike left the line with a 001 light. Jonathan right behind him with a 018, but that was less than half the difference, I should say, at the other end. 664 on a 662. Goodbye 2, 571 on a 570. So 9,000 stripe at the other end for Mike Ealing, and Mike Ealing moves on. Here's Sir James. Jim Harrison out of Escondido, alongside Robert Strong out of Hemet. Well, we're almost got these guys paired by zip code. These two towns are about 20 miles apart. Maybe 30. Rob Strong dialed 679, gets the lead first. Jim right behind him, 577 the dial in. Winlight says, oh man, Jim goes under by 0.08 of a second. He runs a 76 with a 2 on a 77. Rob Strong runs a 680 with a 7 on a 79. Jim actually had a slightly better light, 015 to an 016. And difference was the breakout on the other end. If you find an aluminum gas cap, please turn it into the tower, as there is a racer that's desperately in need. I know they're really cool and you want to hang it on your wall and all, but he'd really like to put it back on his car. Robin Carlton, 525, the dial in that really nice and fast GTX. Goes red as he leaves the line. 612. The dial in for Larry Pittner, and he'll get a chance to do that again as he runs a 615 with a 0, leaves the line with an 04 green light, and that was the difference. PJ Giacalone. David Pohl, 519. It's an 04 worthy car. Man, I'll tell you what, it doesn't look like it sits down real low. Speaking of low riders, PJ Giacalone's 55 Chevy. It's a 578 dial in to a 519 for David Pohl. The Roadster dialed 519. That's kind of a pretty quick car. I have been informed by my local spotter here. Our tactician says that that's actually Robert Neighbor driving that Corvette. Well, for whoever's in there, they're going to be happy because they get a win light. 520 with an 8 on a 519. Both guys start out with nice 02 lights, 025, 027. PJ Giacalone actually slightly better on the tree, but he goes a 580 on a 578. And down at the other end, whoever's driving that Corvette has gone 0018. He swears it's Mr. Neighbor. Okay. Gary Minaka, 530 the dial in for the Roadster. The Lawndale driver, sponsored by Hughes Performance, Hot Rod Performance, Goodyear, Ardent Shocks, Nancy Minaka, alongside Ricky Duchel. Ricky, 63 Corvette, 545 dial in on that machine. Oh, baby, Ricky goes red by 1,000th of a second. Gary Minaka showing him how it's done on the green side as he goes 005, runs a 33 with a 1 on a 33. That takes the win light. 556 on a 555 for Ricky after he puts up a 1,000 red. Yikes. Tony Marconi out of Surprise, and he's got the El Bandito Yankee Tequila fuel. The 76 Aero, 440 Plymouth for power. Taking his time staging her up. Randy Cloud, 98 Mustang. Kind of looks like a Beretta, but I don't know. 572 with a 0 on a 571 takes the win light because he's a little bit closer to his dial. Man, these guys are taking these little teeny stripes down at the other end. That is nervy business in this 8th mile racing. That is a tiny stripe. 004 takes the win. Tony Marconi actually left the line with a slightly better light with an 019, and then he runs a 558 with a 7 on a, or a 588 with a 7 on a 587 dial in. So tight racing down here. Oh yeah, that's right. We're at the Silver State West Coast Classic. If you didn't come to run, man, you came to watch. John Castro, good looking 72 Nova. 656 to dial in. Is going to get a slight head start. All black, sinister looking 67 Nova, being driven by Joe Lovett. Nova's a pair, run for the other end. Winlight says Joe Lovett. He starts that out with a 007 light. John Castro had a nice 017, but unfortunately breaks out by a tad as he goes a 54 with a 2 on a 56 for the breakout, and a 610 on a 607 as Joe decides to nab the brakes, and that was probably a good decision as he takes the Winlight. Mike Agnew. Okay. 69 Chevelle. Had a couple problems with his car yesterday, but it looks like he's ready to go now. 608 to dial in on that machine. Alfonso Zafla. Alfonso, the 66 Nova, big block Chevy for power, 649. The fuel cell cap has returned. If you own a Mazir fuel cell cap in aluminum, I know, I'm just joking. Come on up to the tower, man. It has been returned. Zafla goes red. Agnew goes on. 610 with a 3 on a 608 after a nice 025 light. 003 to the red side for Alfonso. He runs it out. Hey, this is the first guy that went red, didn't run dead on. He runs a 52 with a 9 on a 49, but I'm sure we're going to see him back in just a few minutes. Here's Robert Butler. Robert Butler driving, I'm not quite sure what that is. I'm going to call it a early Camaro. Mark Kidd. I know that guy. Out of Twin Falls, the double dripper. Winlight goes over to Mark Kidd as he leaves the line 006, then runs an 85 with a 8 on an 84. 012 light for Robert Butler, but he runs under as he runs a 76 with a 9 on a 77. Bill Bothello driving that real pretty Pontiac. Not only is it real pretty, it's real fast. 495 the dial in. Here's Daniel McClellan. He's driving the weapon of choice here. He's got the Davis Ford, Chevy powered Ford Roadster. Dialed 588. Off they go for the other end. Almost the other end. Daniels out there, goes 588 on an 88, and he puts the wind light on. An 055 light for Bill in the Pontiac, and he doesn't get there with a 496. Attention to the pits. All dragsters to lanes 5 and 6. All dragsters to lanes 5 and 6. That means all Super Pro dragsters, lanes 5 and 6. I'm telling you what, there's a cooling system underneath the hood of that 95 Daytona. Larry Giese just went down the track just a few minutes ago. He's alongside Vincent Campa. Campa's Roadster is dialed 506. That baby bolts. 572, the dial in for the door car. The 95 Daytona puts on the first bulb as he rolls in. He's going to get about a 3/4 of a second head start. And then Vince's shiny black 34 Chevy Roadster, 632 cubic inches. That is a bunch of power. Oh man, Larry goes red by 1/1000th, and he runs a 72 on a 72. There's a surprise. 508 on a 506 for Vince Campa, and Vince at over 140 miles an hour takes the win. Coming right back around against Pierce Deming. The Kid Performance. Oh, that explains why that little small block is running 6:55. Okay. Alongside Kenry. Kenry driving what looks to be an 84 Mustang, 331 inches of Ford power under the hood. Two good green lights, both sides of the track. It's going to be the other end to decide it. Winlight comes up in Pearson Deming's lane as he runs a 57 with a 4 on a 55 dial-in after a real nice 019 light. Kenry goes 032 off the tree, runs a 99 with a 5 on a 98, and that means there's a little teeny stripe hiding somewhere. Margin of victory, 0046. Wow. Big wheels up launch and a good one for the big El Camino. Scott Taylor goes red by 9,000ths of a second. El Camino puts on the win light, 663 with a 2 on the 661 dial-in, and he lifts, it looks like, a little bit at the other end as he rolls through at just 95 miles an hour. 669 at 102 for Scott Taylor in a losing bid, starting that out with the red light. Scott Ealing right back around again, that Corvette. 661 the dial-in for the drop-top vet. Byron McCullough. 1967 Camaro, 406 cubic inches. 659 is his dial-in, so only 200ths of a second separate these guys on the tree. I told you I'm the math wizard. You don't need to tell these guys. They know they left dead together. Winlight comes up for Sean Ealing. The 022 actually beat the 015 light. 62 with a 6 on a 61. Byron goes under by 5,000ths of a second, and that was about 5,000ths he wished he didn't have. Wow. Tight race down at the other end. Sean Ealing takes the win. Here's Justin Short. For any of the problems that he might have had on Thursday, he's definitely got it sorted out now. Hey, I'd like to paint my car like a cop car, but well, at least the same colors, but not necessarily the same panels. Justin Short, the 64 Chevelle, the black and white unit. 565 for power, goes 552 for a dial-in. Jeff Jones gets to leave first, and unfortunately he wanted a little bit more as he puts it on red by negative 012. Justin leaves 034 on a tree and then runs a 52 on a 52 with a 2 at 124.82 miles an hour. Two good, clean-running cars right there. Again, Super Pro Dragsters, you have been called. Okay, we're pairing them by last names. Daryl Wirtz, driving the Dragster, dialed in a 458 alongside Tim Wirtz, driving the 63 Roadster. 516 the dial-in on the Corvette. So about a half-second head start. I'd guess to say these folks know each other pretty well. Nice lights both sides of the track. Daryl Wirtz goes 003 on the tree. Tim Wirtz goes 018 on the tree. Yep, the guy with the 003 takes the win as he goes 461 with a 7. Tim runs his Corvette through and he goes a 518 with a 9 on a 516. And a little bitty 007 stripe down at the finish line is the difference. Man, might make Thanksgiving a little uncomfortable. taking a guess here, but we're going to go with Don Taros. Don driving the Broguer's Dairy 99 Tuttle chassis machine alongside KJ Diesa. Nice lights both sides of the track. Don out in front, but unfortunately doesn't get the win light as he comes around him just at the last second. KJ, check this out, 84 with a 2 on an 83 after an 026 light beats in 005. 547 on a 542 as he's off by 5. Not quite sure what happened there, but closer to the number. Takes the win. KJ moves on to the next round. Taking a couple seconds here to do a little check of the track. Want to make sure that everything's ready to go before the next pair comes out. Hey, and just to bring the rest of the action to you, we're going to bring Mike English on.
Dean Bush, John Flores. Dean Bush, 475 for Las Vegas three-way Chevrolet lane. John Flores, the M&M Fuels Team Machine, 468 for the Dreamweaver Michelob Ultra lane. Kid Performance Friday at the Silver State Refrigeration West Coast Classic Super Pro Dragster. Red light start, Gene Bush. John Flores is 007. John Flores 4705 on that 68 dialing. 007 for the win. Dean Bush didn't go dead on, but he went 004 RED as Kevin Shearer, Larry Beckner. Larry in from Arizona. That's the Tom Bayer School of Drag Racing car. Three-way Chevrolet lane getting the head start at 491. Kevin Shearer, Washington, 456. Kevin, Michelob Ultra lane. There we go. They're set down. Here we go. Head start, far side. Couple of green light starts in this pair. Beckner out there. Here comes Kevin down there, top end. Kevin Shearer, 017, 457-1 on that 456 dial for the W right side. Larry Beckner, 42 on the tree, a 1 over 92 with a 1 and bows out is Eric Truby, Tommy Drake Jr. 490, Tommy Drake Jr., Michelob three-way Chevrolet lane. And Eric Truby right here, Bakersfield, 488 in the Joe Gieslick ride from Azir Enterprises and Eric Truby. Super Pro Dragster, round 1. 2 go down, 1 goes to the buyback round. Buybacks will start after round 1 Super Pro. It'll be $80 for Pro, $100 for Super Pro. Red light start by 1 stinking thousandths of a second. Tommy Drake Jr. How about that? Eric Truby dead on 6. 010 automatic W. 491.5 in a 001 red. Tommy Drake Jr.'s Kelly Shearer. David Pohl. David Farside. That's a Tom Bayer School of Drag Racing. First call dragster. 5 flat. Getting the head start over Kelly Shearer. 475 for the Washington runner, Michelob Ultra lane. Green light starts in this pair. Down there, top end. How about dead on 7, 015, David Pohl. Kelly Shearer, 024, and could not get there. 1 over 476, 4 on that 75 dialing. But a 22 thou package for David Pohl, and Kelly had no chance with that 024 light. Steve Hendricks, White Lane Automotive Dragster, 477, Michelob Ultra Late, and the Assassin Race Kid. Kid Performance, the great sponsors of this race on Friday. 467 for race, three-way Chevrolet lane. Both drivers pre-staged. There we go. Great light starts this pair. Race, Steve down there top end. Race Kid, 3 over 470 with a 2 on that 467 dial for the win. He was 007. Steve Hendricks, a 1 over 78 with a 4 on that 77 dial 025. 4/10 thousandths of a second to the win to Race Kid. Now three-way Chevrolet lane is Kyle Raposo, Brian Schubert. 518, Brian Schubert, the front-motored car. 470, Kyle Raposo. .618, the dial for Brian Schubert, the front motor dragster. Kyle will patiently wait and come hustling after him. The Michelob Ultra lane. That's my favorite lane, Chris Forsythe. Couple of green light starts. Here comes that Kyle Raposo hustling after Brian Schubert. It's Kyle Raposo. Dead on 4. 010 for the win, a 14th thou package. Brian Schubert was 001. It took a boatload of a stripe and broke out 610-9 on that 618. Dialing is Austin Schoenfeld, Mark Barnhart. 457 for the New Mexico car, Mark Barnhart in the three-way Chevrolet lane. The front motor car of Austin Schoenfeld. 486 for Austin, Michelob Ultra lane, that fast lane automotive team car. Green light starts here, separated by 4 thou down at the top end there. Austin Schoenfeld by 4 thousandths of a second, 487.3 on that 86 dialing, 018 for the win. Mark Barnhart was better by 4 thou at 14 on the tree, 2 over 459 with the 1 on that 57 dialing. Austin Schoenfeld, the front motor dragster, moving on is Marco Paravallaris, Chad Axford. Chad, Kentucky. 468 three-way Chevrolet lane, and Marco, NorCal, 461 for Marco Paravallaris in the Michelob Ultra lane. Itty bitty little head start going to the Chadmobile left lane. And a red light start, Chad Axford by 001 RED. Marco goes dead 9, 020 for the win. Chad goes 001 red and then out by 5 thou, 467.5. Mike Collins, Greg Hicks. The Hicksmobile for figspeed.com at 479 three-way Chevrolet lane. And Mike Collins, the garlic capital of the world, 476 for the Gilroy runner. Michelob Ultra lane. Clean green down there, top end. That wind light says, wow. Greg Hicks was 10 on the tree and then 484.7 and could not get there. Mike Collins was 50 on the tree and lights up the scoreboard dead on 7. And the Gilroy runner coming back round number 2 is Mark Lalonde, King Richard McFarland. The Brents Brothers Race Cars, Pontiac for Richard McFarland at 580 way Chevrolet Lane. Mark Lalonde, Cottonwood, Arizona, 488 for the Yancey Chassis Dragster. Green light starts. Richard out there. Here comes that Arizona team car down there, top on Mark Lalonde. 491 on that 488. Mark was 004. King Richard, a 7 over 587 on that 80 dial-in. 587 too, but was 018. And Richard got down there and parked and hoped that Mark broke out. How about a couple of Speed Kings here? Stevie Williams, the Foggett Dragster. 444 three-way Chevrolet Lane, chasing Joey Trotsky, the Bantam Altered at 522. Oh, watch that baby down there at that finish line. Here comes Stevie Williams. It's going to be Joey Trotsky. 018, dead on 6. Takes out Stevie Williams. 029, a 1 over 4 to 45 3. Stevie Williams was a $158. Joey Trotsky, 143. That was fun to watch. It's Krista Sudan, Super Pro track champ, far side here. 478 Krista. Chasing Cooper Chun in from Vancouver, Washington for Dave Barcelone's Truck Down DC Auto Salon. 513 Cooper, Michelob Ultra Lane. Green light starts. Cooper out front. Chris starting to make that move in that three-way Chevrolet Lane. Cooper Chun. 513.6, dead on 6, 007 for the win. Krista was mathematically eliminated when she left that starting line at 018 and goes out at 1 over 479.9 on that 478 dial. Cooper, a 13,000 package, is Elliot Franco and Kevin Johnson. Kevin will be chasing far side three-way Chevrolet Lane on that 451 dial-in. Elliott with the head start for the Orange County runner, 505, Elliot Franco. Kevin Johnson, 004 red. Elliot Franco, dead 7, 009. I'm going to do the math. That's 16 thou package. Kevin Johnson out by 5 thou, 004 red. Next pair, Bailey Neighbor, Gage Cameron. Bailey Neighbor, that Neighbor Motorsports team car, chasing Gage Cameron. 460 Bailey, 502 Gage. The above all pool tile cleaning team car for Bailey Neighbor and Gage Cameron. So head start gauge for Valley Painting. Bailey chasing three-way Chevrolet lane. Green light starts. Down there, top end, I see a wop Bailey. 461.2 on that 60 dialing. 009. Bailey Neighbor moving around number 2. Gage Cameron missed the tree at 48 and then goes 507 on that 502 dialing to go to the buyback round. Is Jason Pad. Colby Fuller. Colby, the Foggett Dragster. 468. Jason Pad for the Automax team up in Alberta, Canada. 456 JP right side. Pre-stage, Colby in from Georgia, Jason in from Alberta, Canada. Hey, let's get together in Bakersfield. What do you say? It's kind of halfway. It's in the middle. Not sure what it's in the middle of. Green light starts here. Head start left side. Here comes Jason down there. It's going to be Jason. 457.1 on that 456 dial for the win for Jason. 022. Colby was 16, and there was 471.2 on that 68.3 off that dial-in. Going to that buyback round. David Meyer, Neil Pressimone. Neil Farside, Las Vegas for quarter pro shifters. 482. Head start going to Neil. David Meyer, your Division 7 champ, chasing at 471. All right, attention to the pits, attention to the pits. All dragsters to the lanes, please. All dragsters to the lanes, please. For round 1, Super Pro Kid Performance Friday. In set, tree comes down, and red light start. David Meyer, red light's on, David's gone. Neil down there, Neil's 012. Out by 7th thou at 481.3 on that 82 dial-in. Is Kaylee McGibbon, Tim O'More. Tim O'More, primetime player out of Arizona, 495 in that three-way Chevrolet lane. And Miss Kaylee McGibbon, right here in Bakersfield now. White Lane Automotive team car, 507 for Kaylee. Head start Kaylee on that 507 dial-in. Tim O'More, 495 doing the chasing. Clean green 013 left second down there top end. Kaylee McGibbon, how about 5091 on that 507 dial-in. Kaylee was 001. Tim O'More, 013, gets down there and breaks out by 4 thou. And Kaylee moving on is Dylan Howe, Brian Kelly. 456, Brian Kelly, three-way Chevrolet lane, and that gets a head start. Dylan Howe at 448 for the Cascade Trailers team car doing the chasing. Brian Kelly won them Warden Motorsports team cars, and Dylan Howe, a complete fleet of race cars. green, and watch this baby down there, top end. Dylan Howe, 451 on that 448 dialing. Dylan was 013. Brian Kelly, 58 with a 0 on that 56 and missed the tree. Mark Mayashiro, Team Tuna Tank, Torco Racing, 494. Mark Michelob Ultra Lane. James Warden, the house car at Warden Motorsports, 460. James Warden, three-way Chevrolet lane. The Hawaiian with the head start. Here comes that James Warden down there, top end. Mark Mayashiro, 006, 495, 3 on that 494 dialing for the win. James Warden was 018, could not get there. 461, 1 on that 60 dial as Trent Flores. Mark Kidd, that's the assistant manager, Kidd Performance, three-way Chevrolet lane. 467, Mark Kidd. 583 for the M&M Fuels team car of Trent Flores, Michelob Ultra Lane. Green light starts. Here comes Mark Kidd down there. Mark Kidd, 011, 473 on that 67 dial. And you heard Trent double pedal it there. Breaks out 575 on that 583 dial and missed the tree. Is Val Torres Jr., Bobby Dye. Bobby Farside, 459 for the Specialty Fasteners team car. And Val Jr., the Tiffany Torres Real Estate, Torco Race Fuels Team Dragster, 470, junior right side. Itty bitty little head start going to Val Jr. Is Bud Bobby chasing him. Red light start, Bobby Dye by 3 thou. Val Torres, 20 on the tree, 4697 on that 70 dialing. Stunning. Bobby Dye goes red, dead 9. Huh, how'd that happen? Tyler Smith, and Tom Bayer, Professor Tom, for the Silver State Refrigeration Team. Of course, a great sponsor of this West Coast Classic. And Tyler Smith for Mountain View Performance, Mom and Dad, and the whole bunch. Tom Bayer, 5 flat. Tyler Smith, 455 in the Miller Race Cars team car. Of course, Professor Tom, the winner of yesterday's Hughes Performance 25K shootout. Round number 1, Super Pro Dragsters. Ever so careful to light that second line. Now we're set with the head start going far side, Tom Bayer. Tyler Smith, red light start. Tom Bayer, Professor Tom, 013, out by 8 thou. Red light start, Tyler Smith by 18 thou, and stunning, dead 3. Dylan Hagwood, Tyler Myra. Tyler out of Utah. The Pete's Diesel Repair Dragster, 473, Tyler, Michelob Ultra Lane. Dylan, the Matt Hegwood, Highline Auto Care Dragster, 543 for the former junior dragster champ. Attention the pits, attention the pits. Final call. All dragsters. Super Pro round one. Need you the lanes. Final call. Is that the final call? No, it's the final. It is the final call. Okay, good. Pre-stage Dylan waiting on Tyler to go to round two. Super Pro dragster. Couple of green light starts. Dylan out there. Here comes Tyler hustling after him down there top end. Dylan 018 542 4 on that 43 dialing for the win. Tyler missing the tree. Michelob Ultra Lane 4706 on a 73 dialing and had a reaction time that would not work against that 018 is Jason Rosenbaum. Austin Downing. Austin for Phil Dion on the team. The Bustin' Loose Racing Mopar Power Dragster 467. Tyler. Jason Rosenbaum. Townsend Stillhouse. Dragster Jason Wife Renee 472. Jason Michelob Ultra Lane. Green light starts here. Jason out there. Here comes Austin. Top end. Jason dead on 5-0-16. Takes out Austin Downey's breaking out 4-6-6-5 on that 67 dialing. Jason, how about that 11 thou package, 21 thou package? And, well, just eliminated Austin right there is Ryan Mangus, Daryl Wirtz. Daryl, 455 for the Idaho runner. Three-way Chevrolet lane. And Ryan Mangus racing a bunch of cars this weekend is Ryan, 476. Ryan Mangus. Red light start. Dale Wirtz by one stinking thousandths of a second. 474-1. 013 on that 476 dial for Ryan Mang. Tommy Drake Jr., Robert Butler. Tommy Drake, 491 left lane. Robert Butler, 473. The dragster right side. Attention in the pits, attention in the pits. Pro ET buybacks. Double entry buybacks, lanes 1 and 2. Single entry buybacks, lanes 3 and 4. $80 with your car at the back of the lanes. Pro ET buybacks to the lanes. Double entries 1 and 2, single entries 3 and 4. And here we go. Clean green. They are side by side down there. That wind light says Robert Butler 019 475 2 on that 73 dialing. Tommy Drake Jr. 92 with a 5 on that 37, or that 91 dialing, 037. Is Dustin Wirtz, Gabe Torres. Dustin Wirtz at 440 with the supercharged dragster. Gabe Torres for Val Torres Construction, 460. Right side of 10. Once again, Pro ET buybacks. Double entries, lanes 1 and 2, $80. Oh, I'm sorry. No, $80. Single entries, lanes 3 and 4, $80. Gabe Torres, wop, 466 on that 60 dial with 30 on the tree. Not sure what happened to Dustin there. So wait for Dustin to clear the track down there. Mark Barnhart, KJ Dessa. KJ, 483 for the LAT Oils team car. Mark Barnhart out of New Mexico. Three-way Chevrolet late at 459. Mark Barnhart, pre-stage. You're waiting on KJ. Pro ET buybacks to the back of the lanes, please, and $80 in your hand. There we go. Mark lights that second light. KJ lights that second light. Green light. Oh, red light start. KJ, 017 RED. Mark Barnhart, 017 green. 457.8 on that 459 dial it in the automatic win. Kevin Johnson, Dean Bush. Kevin will be three-way Chevrolet, laying down 450. Dean Bush in from Las Vegas. 478 in the Michelob Ultra Lane, getting the head start. Red light start, Dean Bush by 11th thou. Kevin Johnson, 20 on the tree. 451.3 on that 50 dial in the automatic win for Kevin Johnson is the next pair. Race Kid, Gage Cameron. Gage 503 for the Bakersfield Runner and Valley Painting. Race Kid, the Kid Performance. Team Car, the great sponsor today. Friday of the Silver State Refrigeration West Coast Classic. The Assassin at 468 Race Kid for $10,000 in Super Pro today. Clean green in this pair. Gage out there. Here comes Race trying to run him down. Race 013 dead on 5 for the win. Gage Cameron 006 and out by 6 thousandths of a second. Cooper Chun 513 Michelob Ultra Lane. Colby Fuller for Foggett 468 three-way Chevrolet lane. Green lights this pair here. 5,000 difference down there. Top end, it's going to be Colby Fuller, 013, a 1 over 69, 469.2 on that 68 dial. Cooper was 18 on the tree, gets down there by 9 10,000ths, breaks out by 2 thou. Mark Lalonde, Robert Neighbor. Robert, above all pool tile cleaning. That's Chad's business. 468 Robert. And Mark Lalonde, the Yancer Chassis Dragster, the Arizona Runner, 490 for the primetime player in from AZ. Pro ET buybacks to the back of the lanes, please, with $80. Pro ET buybacks to the back of the lanes with $80 in your hand. Waiting on Robert Neighbor. Lights that second light. Tree comes down. Head start, Mark right side. Couple of green light starts there. That Arizona runner out front. Here comes Robert Neighbor down there. How about dead on 5? 010 for the win for Mark Lalonde. 022 dead 3, and Robert Neighbor could not run him down as Kyle Raposo, Steve Williams. Kyle, 470. Michelob Ultra Lane. And the Foggen Dragster is Steve Williams, 445. Steve Williams, three-way Chevrolet lane. Now they're set. Head start going to Kyle. Steve Williams doing the chasing. 2,000 difference in reaction time. Steve Williams goes dead 9, 020 for the win. Kyle is 1 over 471.0. He was 22 on the light. That's 3,000 to Steve Williams at the finish line. Greg Hicks, Kevin Shearer. The BigSpeed.com dragster, Greg Hicks at 484 getting the head start three-way Chevrolet lane. And Kevin Shearer in from Washington, 456 for the Kid Performance dragster with a Race Kid big block Chevrolet behind the driver. Sorry, Mark, I had to give credit to your kid. Greg Hicks, a head start. Here comes Kevin Shearer down there. Kevin Shearer. Kevin goes 27 on the tree, 1 over 457.5 on that 56 dial for the win. Greg Hicks was 2,000 better. It's 25 on the tree. Gets there first and breaks out by 2,000 of a second. Kevin Shearer moving on. Greg Hicks, the buyback window. Marco Paravalaris, Kelly Shearer now. Kelly, 476. Will be Michelob Ultra Lane and Marco Paravalaris. Hoosier Racing Tires. Steve Kasner Racing Transmissions. Bob Pinella Racing Edges. 462 Marco. Three-way Chevrolet lane. So head start Kelly. Marco chasing. Red light start Kelly Shearer. Marco goes 013 green. Marco goes 4603. And an automatic W is Kelly's 010 red and 478.1 on that 76 dialing. Dylan Howe, entry number 2. Kaylee McGibbon, entry number 2. Kaylee Farside, the White Lane Automotive Dragster, 508. Kaylee. Dylan, the Cascade Trailer Team Car, 450 for the guy who run it up yesterday in that Hughes Performance 25K shootout. Head start Kaylee far side on that 508 dialing. Dylan 450 doing the chasing. Green light starts. Oh, 3,000 difference down there. Watch this at the finish line. It's Dylan. How about dead 3, 039 for the win. Kaylee was 042, gets there first by 2/10 and breaks out by 2. And a great matchup down there. It's Tristan Craig, David Meyer. Wow, pretty big time round one matchup here. Tristan Craig, 467, three-way Chevrolet lane. David Meyer, the Division 7 champ, 471 Michelob Ultra lane. Let me do the math on that. 1, 2, 3, 4. So itty bitty little head start, David Meyer. David Meyer lights that second light. Tristan, the Las Vegas runner. Couple of green light starts here. 5,000 difference in reaction time down there, top end. It's going to be David Meyer. Dead on 7, 036 for the win. Tristan was a 1 over 68 with an 8, and out at 041 is Sophie Cambra, the Byron round 1 Super Pro. Sophie on that 510 dial in the Canberra Speed Shop Special for mom and dad and boyfriend Ian. So Sophie on the buy run. .004 red. Sophie on that 510 dialing. 516.9, 134, 004 RED. Pro ET buybacks will be out next. Pro ET buybacks will be out next. Pro ET buybacks. Richard Leo, 717. That's the Chero. And Alan Brown, 583. The Coupe A. The Coupe. The Coupe. The Coupe. The Coupe A. Red light start, Alan Brown, 007 RED. Richard Leo, 21 on the tree, dead on 5. Richard Leo back in round number 2 of Pro ET, and Alan Brown's going to pop a cold one. Is Monty Beagle, Brian Cam. Monty Beagle, 583, Alberta, Canada. The Beagle Automotive Team, McKean. Brian Cam, just over there, Pacifica, 796. Brian in the Camaro, 583. Monty Beagle, another one of those coupes. Know what happened to the last coupe? Monty doesn't want that to happen. Monty Beagle, 012 red. Brian Cam moving on. Brian on that 796 dialing. Brian Cam goes 7-9-6-1. Back into Super Pro. Logan Pagano, Dennis Paz. Wow, it doesn't get much better than these two. The Pazmobile, the El Camino, 677. Dennis Paz. Logan Pagano, 794 for the Corvette and a couple of prime time players. And they're in the buyback round. Gives you an idea how tough this deal is. The Silver State Refrigeration Classic on Kid Performance Friday. Oh, Dennis Piles carrying them front wheels big time in that Elkie. Logan looking over down there top end. Watch this, baby. Logan Pagano, 038, out by 3 thou for the win. Dennis Paz, 058, out by 8 thou for the loss. I told you that baby was going to be pretty darn good. It's Jeff Kreider, Pedro Valadez. Pedro, 702 in the Firebird. Jeff Kreider, the Wonder Wagon, 745. Head start to the Wonder Wagon, the Bedrock Racing Wonder Wagon. Green light starts both drivers. Jeff Kreider with the head start. Here comes that Pedro Valadez long right alongside there. Pedro, 010, 7033 on that 702 dial for the win. Jeff got down there. He was 044 off the starting line. Parked that baby at 751.9, hoping Pedro would break out. Mike Agnew, Clint McKay. 609 Mike Agnew, the 69 Chevelle. 612 Clint McKay, the 66 Chevelle. This baby's going to be fun to watch. We'll just sit here. Mike Agnew carrying that front wheel big time in that 69 Chevelle. At that top end, Mike Agnew, you saw that nose drop. 028 Mike Agnew, 613.3 on that 09 Dylan. Clint missed the tree at 93 and a 1 over 16, 613.6 on that 12 Dylan. Trying to push him out is Jody George, Josh DeSouza. Josh in the Junior Comp Dragster, 690. Jody George getting the head start in the Oldsmobile, 732, Jody George. Attention to the pits, attention to the pits. After this pair, green light starts. Josh right up alongside that door car down there top end. Josh goes 706 on that 690 Dylan. He was 59. Jody was 53 on the tree. 761.3. Having problems on that 732 Dylan. Attention to the pits, attention to the pits. Super Pro door car buybacks. Double entries 1 and 2, single entries 3 and 4. DQ the lanes now. Super Pro door car buybacks. Cooper, Dreher, Chase, Trim. 655 for the Opal for Chase. 761 Cooper in the Comet. Red light start Cooper by 5 thou. Chase Trip, 18 on the tree. Dead on 6. Chase going back into round 2 Pro ET. Chris Johnson, the very cool Duster, out of Lancaster, Western Edge Auto Center. 596 Chris Johnson. Stan Deming, the Kid Performance Nova. 625 Stan Deming. Super Pro door car buyback. DQ to the lanes. Green light starts this pair. Stan Deming in that Nova trying to hold off that Mopar down there at the finish line. Chris Johnson, 99 with a 7 on that 96 dial for the win. 006. Stan Deming, 26 on that 25. 062. And Chris Johnson coming back to round 2 in Pro ET. Ryan Mangus, Jonathan Knoll. Ryan Camaro, 617. the stick shift challenger, Jonathan Knowles, 696. Ryan Mangus skying them front wheels big time, trying to run down that Mopar. The Mopar, dead 7.079 for the win. Ryan missed the tree and goes a 1/18 with an 8 and cannot pull it out. Jonathan back in Pro ET is Cal Gordon and Abigail Rogers. Abigail, Junior Comp Dragster, 660 for the M&M Fuels Team Machine. Cal Gordon for CP AutoWorks, the Mustang at 631. Head start Abigail in that three-way Chevrolet lane. And a red light start Abigail with problems there. Shuts it off. Cal Gordon, 35 on the tree. And Cal Gordon goes 6.16.8 on that 31 dial-in. But Abigail went red and then shut it off and is sitting at about 100 feet down track. And the guys on the starting line are going to run down there and push her back. Pushing Abigail back and Jeremy Everest. The Mustang, 726, three-way Chevrolet lane, and Garrett Agnew. The Dragster at 669. So head start to the Mustang. The Junior Comp Dragster on that 669 dial-in doing the chasing. Head start Mustang. Red light start Garrett Agnew. Jeremy Everest, 095 on the tree, down 726, goes 7229, but gets the automatic win as Garrett goes 074 red. 675 on that 69 dial is Jeff LaSalle. Randy Stanley. Stanley, the Gary's Automotive, Nova. 689 Randy, three-way Chevrolet lane. Jeff LaSalle, 652, Jeff LaSalle in the Mopar. And I'll have to say I'm a little stunned to see these two cars in the buyback round. But, hey, it happens to the best. Green light starts skid. Head start to that Idaho runner. He is out there. Jeff LaSalle right up there. It's going to be Randy Stanley. 689.4 on that 689 dial-in, 012 for the win. Jeff LaSalle was 33 on the tree, runs 53 with a 2 on that 52 dial-in. Randy Stanley moving to the next round is Leslie Emery, Jeff Ball. Jeff Farside, the Junior Comp Dragster, 678. Chasing the S10 pickup truck for affordable transmissions, 699 Leslie Emery. In from Idaho. Back to green light starts. Pickup truck out there. Dragster making that move. It's going to be the pickup truck. 059 on the tree. 7013 on that 699 dialing for the win for Leslie Emery. Wow, Jeff Ball was tardy and broke out by a bunch. 663 on that 678 dialing. Alan Valvo, the Chevelle for Golden State Management. 612 chasing Michael Urquhart's Malibu. 66 Chevelle. 665 Michael. Three-way Chevrolet lane. Red light start by 002 Michael far side. Allen 620 with the 2 on that 612 dialing, rolling out the throttle at 113 miles an hour. Alan Brown back with his second entry. The buyback round, 582 Alan Brown, the coupe. Tana Taylor in from Idaho, 70 Mustang, LS powered at 649 for the Mustang. Head start to that Mustang. And a red light start Tana by 5 thousandths of a second. Alan Brown, 584 on that 82 dialing, 031 for the win. Tana Taylor rolls out of the throttle and 657, 104 on that 49 dialing. 005 RED as Colin Poist, DJ Homard. Couple of Novas. Colin, CP Auto Works Nova, 677. Getting the head start over that wagon at 640. A couple of green light starts here. Deej, Colin down there. DJ, 43 with a 7 on that 40 dialing, 033 for the win. Colin got down there and broke out by 3 thou, taking a 1/10,000 strike. Well, continuing on. Oh, we're going Super Pro door car. Buyback round, and that means, never mind, Jay Kasem will be in here.
Never mind, afterthought, whatever. It's okay, Mike. Thank you very much, sir.
Moving door.
All right, here we go into Super Pro. This is Super Pro buybacks. And we're starting out with Tim Wirtz. Tim Wirtz, 518 to dial in on that Corvette. Wait, they're both Corvettes. The 91 Corvette is Sean Ealing. That's the blue one that you see over here in the Michelob Ultra lane, 661 the dial. So a second and a half head start for the Nampa, Idaho driver is going to have to give it away. Wow, that's a long time to wait down there. Final call, double buyback Super Pro, lanes 1 and 2. Double buyback Super Pro, lanes 1 and 2. Super Pro, all buybacks. Super Pro, all buybacks. But Super Pro, double buybacks, lanes 1 and 2. Sean off the line with a beautiful old 003 light, but unfortunately breaks out, taking a big old huge stripe down there, and Tim Wirtz goes a 518 with a 4 on a 518. Gave up 4 on the tree, but sure made it up down the middle of the track, taking the wind light at 134 miles an hour in his drop-top Corvette. Moving on, Byron McCullough. Byron driving the 67 Camaro. That would be the red one with the black stripes. Good-looking machine. 658 the dial-in. Then going to chase after him, that 95 Dodge Daytona. Larry Giese going to do the driving. 573 his dial-in. Red light for Byron McCullough. Larry goes 0-1-4 off the tree, 574 with a 5 at 117 miles an hour. Little teeny tinge of smoke up there at the top of the track, but it was like well past the finish line, so it wasn't tire smoke. Hopefully nothing's going awry. Okay, a couple of pretty slick-looking machines right here. Bill Bothello driving the Pontiac. 496 to dial in. That's the Seas Candy machine. Alongside Ricky Duchel, Ricky, 63 Corvette. Coming down from Palmdale. Coming up from Palmdale? I guess it depends on whether you're going to be going up the map or whether you're coming down the mountain. Either way, he's from Palmdale. 556. Normally he's chasing those door cars, but he's getting chased this time. That Seas Candy Pontiac, 496 to dial. Ricky's 556. Half a second here. Let's see what we got. Taking her time, staging them up. Ricky starts that out with the better of the two green lights, runs a 557 on a 556, good for the win. Bill unfortunately gave up too much on the tree, and he goes 496 with a 2 on a 496. Nice pass with the exception of that tree thing. Scott Taylor out of Columbia Falls, Montana. 1965 Chevelle. Lined up alongside Jim Harvison from Escondido, California. I don't know that there's an Escondido anything else besides California. There may be an Escondido, Mexico somewhere. Red light for Scott Taylor. Jim's nice 017 is going to be enough to take this win. And he goes 577 with a 4 on a 577. Scott Taylor, 667 on a 665. Unfortunately for him, probably ends his day. Daniel McClellan. Daniel, the 27 Ford Roadster with 632 inches of Chevy, alongside a 331 cubic inch actual Ford and 84 Mustang. Kenny Roberson, 699 the dial in. Fast little Mustang. Oh, baby. Red light over on McClellan's side as they're pushing him off. The red light being he didn't get it staged, obviously, as something goes awry. 002, Kenry was ready. 002, and he runs a 700 with a 3 on a 699. So puts together about a 15,000 package. He was going to be tough to beat, if that is any consolation to Daniel. Here's Jonathan Fiello. Jonathan, the 71 Nova, 540 cubic inches. His opponent will be Jeff Boussard. Jeff, the 96 Sonoma. 588 the dial in for the Sonoma. 572 the dial in for Jonathan Fiello. Two of the faster door cars in the category. Again, Super Pro, double buybacks. We're talking about dragsters, whatever you got, bring them. Super Pro double buybacks to lanes 1 and 2. And the rest of y'all make your way to lanes 3 and 4 or where directed at the bottom of the track. Bring your money and be ready to go. We are collecting in the lanes. That engine sounds really strong in Fiello's car. Jeff Boussard, 588. He's really only going to get less than 0.2 of a second head start. Down at the finish line is going to tell the story. Jonathan Fiello starts that light out with an 0.16. He runs a 5.75 with an 8 on a 5.72. 5.90 on a 5.88 for Jeff Boussard. He gave up 4 on the tree, which was exactly too much. And Jonathan Fiello moves on to the next round. Nice 0.16 light and a 75 with an 8 on a 72. Not bad at all. Here we go. A couple more Super Pro door cars coming your way. Pearson Deming, the 77 Nova, 385 cubic inch small block. 655 the dial in is going to get about a 1 head start from Tony Marconi. Tony driving the drop top arrow. Excellent lights both sides of the track. This is going to be tight at the finish line. Whoo, baby. 006 beats a 017 off the tree and puts on the win light. 588 on a 588 with a 5 for an 11 thousandths pack for Tony. Pearson giving it everything he had as he goes a 55 with a 5. And so he gave up about 11 thousandths on the tree and margin of victory 011. Imagine that. That was a tight little race right there. Greg Vining, 5.84. Dial in for that good-looking little blue Nova. The 85 Camaro, driven by Mr. 007 himself. That's Greg Dreher. This time, though, he happens to go 003 off the tree and puts on the win light. 648 on a 645. 5.84 on a 5.84 for Greg. Unfortunately, 03 off the tree, which isn't a terrible light, but unfortunately left him 300ths behind. And then Greg, not wanting to take any chances, tightens that stripe up to 0026 at the other end. Here's PJ Giacalone alongside Jeff Jones. Jeff Jones, sponsored by Mickey Thompson, among others. That 72 Nova, 555 cubic inches. Speaking of 55s, PJ Giacalone, he's driving a 55, a lot of it. That thing's big. I mean, like a big old ride. 579, so not only is it big, but it's big and fast. Comes out of Wilmington. The lights are 0.02 a second apart. Down at the other end, at 6.09 with a 4 on a 6.10's a breakout for Jeff Jones. PJ looks like he might have tapped the brakes right at the end, figuring that might be the next chance. He goes a 5.82 with a 3 on a 5.79, tapping the brakes and good for the win. Lights 0.02 apart. Giacalone's 0.28 to an 0.26 on Jeff Jones. Robert Butler driving that neat Camaro out of Citrus Heights. 576, the dial in for the Camaro. But check out that big old B-body Mopar. 69 GTX, 526 inches of, I'm guessing, Hemi. The way this thing runs, 524, the dial in on that machine. Wow. Check that car out. This thing leaves like a big old fast car. Going down to the finish line, Mr. Butler, he takes the win as he starts that out with a nice 021 light, runs a 578 on a 576. Robin gave up a little too much on the tree and then goes a 524 with a 3 on a 524. Unfortunately, giving up 6 on the tree isn't going to work. And Robert Butler moves on to the next round. If you are in buybacks and you are in Super Pro, you need to be in the lanes. Double buybacks, I know it almost sounds embarrassing, but double buybacks, lanes 1 and 2. Own it. And get yourself out of there. That's the best thing. Put both of them in the next round. That's what I say. Byron McCullough, 67 Camaro. It's the bright red Camaro that you see over here in the Michelob Ultra Lane, alongside John Castro, the 72 Nova. Castro's dialed 657. Byron's dialed 657.
What?
I'm not kidding. Heads up, mind you. Excellent lights both sides of the track. Heads up match on this end goes a breakout. John Castro goes 655 with a 9 for the breakout, and a 658 with a 9 on the 657 is good for the win for Byron McCullough. Man, tight little race, 006 for John Castro, so he got almost 200ths of a second head start, and unfortunately wasn't able to do much with it as he goes under at the top end of the track. Brian's going to go on to the next round. Doing just a touch of cleanup here on the track real quick. Just make sure. Final call, all Super Pro buybacks, you guys should be in the lanes. Final call, all Super Pro buybacks, you should be in the lanes. All right, track's ready to go. We're back to action. And action you're going to have. Here's Tim Wirtz. Tim driving the Corvette. Wirtz family's had all kinds of weird stuff happen to them. They had to order some parts. They had to run each other. It's just been kind of one of those days. Tim Wirtz, the Corvette, that thing is just plenty fast. 5.18. The dial in for Wirtz and the Corvette over in the three-way Chevrolet lane. The little Nova, 610, Jeff Jones. So almost a full second head start to what's considered a pretty fast door car. 610 dial in. All right, man, I'll tell you. That auto starts evil when it does evil things to you, but Jeff Jones gets her in time at the top end of the track. Winlight goes over to Tim Wirtz. Goes 518 with a 6 on a 518. Gave up a little bit on the tree, but made it up on way down the track. Jeff Jones' car runs way under. Not quite sure what happened there, but he goes 601 on a 610 dial. And Tim Wirtz takes the win. Now we got dragsters. Here's Greg Hicks. Greg Hicks out of North Las Vegas, sponsored by Fig Speed. I know that dude. 484 to dial in. 513, Cooper Chun. The Vancouver, Washington driver out of Trucktown. Ha! Oh, baby, this is a good one here. I'll tell you about it in a second. Going through the finish line lights, Cooper Chun starts that out 009, then runs a 15 with a 2 on a 13, 86 with a 9, started out with a 25. Greg Hicks, man, That was just a tough way to go right there. Cooper Chun making it look easy as he taps the brakes, takes an 0-2 stripe down at the other end, says, I'll take it, moves on to the next round. Greg Hicks gave it a good try, but not quite there. Here's Gage Cameron. Gage, 5:01 in the black dragster over in the Michelob Ultra Lane alongside James Warden. James over from Norco. 4:61 the dial. Gage doesn't take any time. He rolls right up and parks that thing in there. Red light for Gage. He goes red by 0.04 of a second. 9th green light for James Warden as he runs it out and goes 461 with a 1 on a 461 at 150 miles an hour. 5:02 with a 6 on the 5:01 after the red light start for Gage. Gage missed the tree by 0.04 of a second. Here's Kaylee McGibbon. Kaylee out of Bakersfield. 5:08 to dial in the dragster. Tommy Drake Jr. out of Emmett, Idaho. I don't know if you've ever done this or not, but if you ever get up there, don't forget to go to the Idaho Natural History Museum. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. 4:93 the dial in for Tommy Drake. Lights are green down at the other end. Answer is double breakout. Kaylee McGibbon takes the win. 5:07 with a 6, missing the dial in by 0.04 of a second. 92 with a 1, missing the dial in by 0.09 of a second. So Kaylee, the lesser of the two breakouts, takes the win. Her 0:35 light beats the 0:72 light, and Kaylee moves on to the next round. Brian Kelly versus Kelly Shearer. Brian out of Norco. 632 inches of motivation makes that thing fly. How about 4:58 to dial in for that machine? Kelly, somebody fast out. Kelly, 4.78. The 07 Mullis car. Kelly, the black dragster that you see over here in the Michelob Ultra side. Brian Kelly, not to be confused with Kelly Shearer. Gonna have to work the words on this one. Use your words. Well, the words are Kelly Shearer takes the win. A beautiful 011 light off the line. 478 on a 478 with a 7 at 144 miles an hour. A 59 with an 8 on a 58. And, man, he looked like he was getting distance there with a beautiful 02 light, but not enough. Kelly Shearer moves on to the next round. Larry Beckner out of Scottsdale, Arizona, the 02 Mullis car, 598 cubic inches alongside Dave Mazier. Mazier out of Escondido, California. Somebody might have heard that name before. Matter of fact, you're going to hear it a lot later on, especially on Sunday, where the Mazier Enterprises Sunday will be brought to you. Thanks to the Mazier family. The 01 undercover car, 565 cubic inches of 472 the dial in, so a 0.2 of a second head start going over to Larry. Dave Mazier driving what's affectionately referred to as the lawn dart. Larry Beckner, a nice 012 light off the tree, 94 with a 1 on a 93. Takes no one stripe. At the other side is Dave, a 73 with a 5 on a 72 after an 022 light. Anyway, wasn't quite enough to get there, and Larry Beckner moves on to the next round. Steven Hendricks out of Bakersfield, 477 the dial-in for that multicolored, multi-hued dragster that you see over here in the ultra lane alongside David Meyer. The car is TNT. 472, so only 5 thou changing hands there at the tree. This is going to be tight on both ends. Oh man, David goes red by 1 thou. Steve Hendricks gets the win, runs it out, goes 480 on a 477, and of course 472 with a 0 on a 472 for David after he goes red by 1/1000th of a second. So in a manner of speaking, that's a 1 thou losing pack. Krista Sudam out of Bakersfield, 479 the dial in for her dragster. Kyle Raposo, wow, couple folks that know each other pretty well here, gonna fight it out. This one's tough. Going down the other end, Winlight goes over to Kyle as he runs a 473 with a 5 on a 473 after a 0-0-0 light. Krista, a nice 023 light, and runs a 79 with a 4, dialed right where you need to be, puts up a 027 pack, and guess what? You were 200ths of a second out of the game. Wow. Colby, yeah, I said they knew each other. Man, that was in a big way. Wow. Kobe Fuller, 468 to dial in on the 22 Maddox chassis car. Kobe making a trip all the way from Savannah, Georgia. Nice city in Georgia. Very nice city in Georgia. Trent Flores. Trent 535 the dial in all the way from Hanford. M&M Fuels, JR Scott Construction, Cutting Edge. The 96 Victory car does put up a red light. That gives the win over to Colby Fuller. Colby runs it out. No, he doesn't. Actually, Colby lifts off the gas as he goes 501 on a 468. Hopefully nothing going wrong with that machine, matter of fact. He ran it hard to the 60-foot clocks, and then it looks like it started to give it a little slowdown. Trent runs it all the way out and goes 506. It might have been, who knows, a rear wheel start or something. Wow, that's an awful lot quicker than what he had dialed. KJ out of North Las Vegas. 4.82 the dial in for that bright yellow dragster alongside Mark Barnhart. Mark making the trip over from New Mexico. 458 the dial in. If he runs at Albuquerque, that's probably about 7 seconds up there. And I'm not talking in a quarter. That place is up there, altitude-wise. Red light for KJ. Mark Barnhart gets the win. Goes off the line with a nice 0-1 light. 0-1-1 to be exact. 459 with a 5 on a 458 at 150 miles an hour, and he goes on. KJ goes red by 0-17 and then runs under by just a touch as he goes a 481 with a 4 on a 482. And it looks like Mark is going to move on to the next round. Tyler Meyer up 471 the dial in on that bright orange dragster alongside Tim O'More out of Tucson. Tim O'More, 495 the dial. Going to take off just a couple tenths in front. Real tight at this end. The other side, yep, hard to call. Tyler goes a 471 with a 3 over by 3 thousandths with his 018 light. He actually gave up 7 thousandths on the tree. 96 with a 3 on a 95. Makes for a little teeny itty bitty 5 thou stripe down at the other end. Wow. Steve Williams. Burning them out across the line there. The 622 cubic inch car alongside Tristan Craig out of Henderson. 467 versus 446. Steve Williams, one of the quicker cars on the property. Checking to make sure everything's right here before we bark them in there. Tristan Craig, the Henderson, Nevada driver, 467 dial in, is going to get about a 0.2 of a second head start over Steve Williams. He's from Beaumont, California. Excellent lights, both sides. Somebody's going to win it, though. Here we go. Steve Williams, 446 with a 1 on a 446. Starting that out with an 017 light. Tristan, 029 off the tree. Runs a 67 with a 5 on a 67. Everybody hit their dial-ins nice and good. Steve Williams, slightly better light, slightly better stripe, and takes the win light. Robert Neighbor out of Miraloma, 469 the dial in, is going to leave second. Don Taros, 545, leave second. 545, almost a full second head start for Taros. All right, here we go. Robert staging him up. Tree on his way down. At the other end, Robert Neighbor, check this out. Naylor would be more like it. As he goes 004 on a tree, he runs a 77 on a 69 as he's able to back it off a little bit. As Mr. Taros gave him a little bit of room. Taros runs a 45 with a 7. So that kind of gives you a quick explanation is unfortunately Mr. Taros, a little difficulty leaving the line, and Mr. Neighbor moves on to round number 2. Here's Dean Bush out of Nevada. 478 to dial in on his machine. Pretty quick car. He's not used to getting chased, but Austin Downing out of Arizona is going to do exactly that. Excellent lights both sides of the track, but Austin Downings is going to get a little tough to deal with as he has now put together the best package in Silver Pro for today, as he just went 0-0-0 on the tree and then goes a 67 with a 3 on a 67. That is a 3,000 pack. Dean Bush, an 016 on the tree, goes a 78 with a 0 on a 78. And had no other defense as he goes 016, which normally is a pretty good win in light right there. Puts together a 16,000th pack to be a loser by 12 thou. Attention to the pits, attention to the pits. Pro, double entries, lanes 1 and 2. Pro, double entries, lanes 1 and 2. Pro. Non-double entries, lanes 3 and 4, or wherever, 5 and 6, excuse me, or wherever you may be directed to at the time of your arrival. Dragsters aplenty. Tyler Smith, 456 to dial in, going to give just a 0.004 of a second head start over to Bobby Dye. Lights identical on this end. 455 with a 9 for Tyler Smith is a loser by 1,000th of a second because of the breakout. 462 on a 460 for Bobby Dye is going to be a winner based on that 1/1000 breakout on Tyler Smith's side. Daryl Wirtz, the 020 Miller chassis. The Chevy's only 632 cubic inches. What's a person to do? 455 the dial, and Gage Cameron 502 the dial on that Bakersfield machine. Actually, I noticed a bunch of Bakersfield machines today, man. These guys out there kicking up all kinds of dust and stuff. Lots of farming going on around here. Oh, man, Gage Cameron goes red by 2 thou. He needed to work it as hard as he could, though. Daryl Wirtz goes 006 off the tree, runs it out, goes a 56 with a 1 on a 55. And Daryl moves on to the next round. Gage Cameron, 503 with a 1 on a 502. Richard McFarland versus Dave Mazier. Richard, Pontiac-powered dragster. You don't see one of those every day. 580 is the dial. He'll get to go first. And Dave Mazier is going to track him down. 474, the dial in on the Mazier machine. Lights near identical. They get down to the other end. 474 with a 3 on a 474. Dave Mazier's 012 light beats Richard McFarland's 016 light by 4 thou off the tree. McFarland actually closer to his dial in as he goes 580 with a 2 on a 580. Dave Mazier goes down to the other end and takes a 003 stripe to take the win away from Richard McFarland. That is one of the tighter races we've seen down there today. Wow. Dave Mazier moves on to the next round. Dustin Wirtz. Not there. Greg Hicks gets the win. .486. Greg Hicks goes .481. But either way, he takes the win, as unfortunately they had to back Dustin out. And that gives us a moment while we are waiting for our pro cars. Pro, you have been called. Double entered pros, please come to lanes 1 and 2. Single entered pros, make your way to lanes 5 and 6. Okay, we're doing a little check of the track real quick. Now we're bringing in the next pair. Kelly Shearer, the 07 Mullis car, 478 to dial in on that machine. Tommy Drake Jr., all the way down from Emmett, Idaho, the 22 Mullis car, 565 cubic inches of serious power, 492 is the dial in. So Tommy's going to get a couple of tenths of a second head start on Kelly Shearer, all the way down from Belfair, Washington. Tommy put on the top bulb. Here comes Kelly. There you go. Up on the chip and off they go. Kelly Shear came prepared. 007 on the tree, an 80 with a 9 on a 78. It's good for the win. Tommy Drake, a 93 with a 5 on a 92. And that doesn't get the job done when you start that out with the 04. Hey, while I got a quick moment, I'd like to thank Kid Performance for bringing us Friday. You know, you'd say, hey, thank God it's Friday. Well, today you say, thank Kid it's Friday. Kid Performance and Dyno, longtime sponsor of our Silver State Refrigeration and HVAC West Coast Classic. We do appreciate those guys coming all the way down from Idaho. A lot of Idaho racers out here. Get a little logistics going out here on the start line, and we'll be right back to racing here in just a second. Also, I want to remind everybody, the dog pound's open. Swing on down there. You need a hot dog, hamburger? You know, it's kind of like lunchtime. Might want to mosey on down there. Okay, here we go. First one across the line there. That's Tristan Craig, 469. The dial in on that black dragster. Dean Bush out of Las Vegas. The 07 Mullis car, 478. So a little quick wink of the eye difference of the two here. Dean Bush going to leave first by just